Welcome to the SES Training Q&A session. Since there are no questions, I'm going to dive straight into the demo portion of our Q&A session. So I'm going to start by logging into the Flex environment, our learning management system. So last week we initiated a supervisory activity, and of course only a staff director, staff user can do that. Then we logged in as the EIC, added a few participants, we defined the scope, we sent the scope for review, Maggie the reviewer reviewed it and she approved it, and then that was the reviewing as the primary reviewer. And now we're going to go ahead and start with defining the plan. So I'm going to go ahead and click on defining the plan. Before I get started, I want to set the stage for why am I showing you Flex and why am I showing you the article and the training environment? Why am I just not staying in the training environment? It's because I want to show you what the best practice would be. We are receiving word that, there are too many different environments. And yes, that is the case. And we are thinking of different format, which will allow you to have everything that you need in one place. But in the meantime, I wanted to show you how you can, set up the training to allow it to go more smoothly. So I'm logged into the Flex training environment, and I'm going to go ahead and click Continue. That launches the training. So what I would recommend is when you have maximized this, as you're going through this, when you arrive at the training resources, make sure you click View, and then either you keep this article up, or you can go ahead and download it. I'm going to download it, and then I'm going to go ahead and just launch it in Adobe Acrobat or whatever PDF reader that you have. Okay, so here's my article. So on I'm using one screen too, just in case you also have one screen. If you have multiple screens, that's the life. But okay, so I'm going to go ahead and leave that article up. I'm going to also have the Flex environment up, and then I also have the actual module up, right? So now that I have the defining the plan article up, I can go ahead and move to the Your Turn exercise.
Now that you've reviewed the resources.
Okay, so it says log into the training environment as the EIC. So I know last week we started with SAM Examiner 398, and that's the login credentials that I was given, right? But in my enthusiasm, what I went ahead and accidentally did was I signed in as SAM Examiner 398, and I started working on the plan. And I intended to practice with it, but I just got sidetracked and just started actually doing the work. So I can't undo what I did. So that goes to show that, be careful, be very alert while you're creating these essays. But so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually, just for this section, for defining the plan section, I'm going to sign in as SAM Examiner 1 and work on essay ID 561. I have to sign in as SAM Examiner 1 because on the essay ID 561, he is the EIC. If I were to log in as SAM Examiner 398 and tried to launch essay ID 561, I wouldn't be able to do anything. I wouldn't be able to define the plan because the plan can only be defined by the EIC for that exam. Okay, so let me show you what I mean. So I'm going to go to Supervisor Activities, 561. Now launch it. So here it is, right? It says EIC is the SAM Examiner 1. So if I logged in as SAM Examiner 398, then I wouldn't be able to move forward. So I go to 561, and I'm going to go back to here, and it says define the plan. So a lot of times what happens is people arrive here and they're like, what? Define the plan, like that, it's so vague, right? So that's why we recommend having the article ready to look at. And again, when you actually do a real life exam, we won't be recommending, oh, sign into the training environment. No, go ahead and refer to these articles, because that's what contains the step-by-step steps, So this is what you will need to know in order to actually do the work. So it says click plan, then define plan. So that's what I'll do, right? In case you feel lost and you're like, I don't know what to do here, click plan, define plan. We see that it's in the not started yet status. So I'm going to go ahead and click plan, define plan. And again, this would be the same thing. This is what I already did for SAM Examiner 398, which is the actual examiner that we started with last week, which I will go back to for the next exercise. I'm just doing this exercise to show you how to define the plan. So it says, location details. So is this going to be on-site, off-site? Let's say it's going to be on-site. I'm going to be on-site from the 17th through the 19th of this month. I can add any comments that I want, any documents that I want. So what the plan allows you to do is delegate the areas for review amongst your team. So if you have a really large team, this might come in handy. If you're doing a multi-state exam, this would come in handy. If you're a small team and you don't need to use this, then don't. This is optional. So it says select an owner and contributors for each of the areas for review to define the plan. Okay, so let's go ahead. In our Your Turn exercise, it says assign George as the owner of at least one area for review. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay. You can leave any notes for George. Okay, you can add a due date, set a priority based on what your agency defines it as. So by default, the owner is always the EIC, but you can change that. I'm going to go ahead and just assign only the first AFR to George, and I'm going to go ahead and mark this complete. That's what the exercise says to do. Okay. And another thing you'll notice here is, so what's happening is in the training environment, we get the releases a little sooner than they go to the production environment. So you'll notice that these used to be radio buttons, but now now you just select them. So that's a bit of a change that you're going to be seeing in the future. So if you notice that difference, that's why. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and complete plan. And now you see that it's in the complete status. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and jump back to our SAID. And in order to do that, I'm going to go ahead and sign in to SAM Examiner 398. So basically, what I just did was already done for 398. That's the EIC that we started with last Thursday. And the SAID for us was 739. So you see that I'm already in the planning stage. My plan is marked complete. So I did the same exact steps that I just took for that other SAID. But it appears here that I assigned George to the policies and procedures AFR instead of the compliance and routines. Same concept, right? The idea that one AFR is assigned a different owner other than the EIC. Okay? All right. So now what we can do is we can go ahead and close this out and move to the next module. Okay, so to do that, I'm just going to click back here and then back one more time. Okay, and I can now see the entire list. So I've done defining the plan. The reason it says in progress is because I didn't take the knowledge check, which you will be required to do in order to mark this complete. So next, we've got adding and removing information requests. So I'm going to go ahead and click continue. Restart. Oops. Gonna maximize this so I can see the menu to the left. Gonna go straight to the training resources. Click view. I'm gonna just click here to download it. I'm gonna open it up. That way I have it, ready to view in case I need it. I might not, but it's good practice to have it ready to view if needed. All right, so now I'm going to go to the Your Turn exercise. Once I've got my article ready to view, then I can just jump down to the Your Turn exercise. So here you'll find that there's more text, so there's more guidance here. So maybe you might not need to rely on that article as much, but again, it's good to save it and have it in a handy place. All right, so it says navigate to your supervisory activity. Have we done that? We have done that, yes. So I'm on 739, the one that we started last week. Then what does it say? It says, because George, actually I want to read this note to you. So you're signing in as an additional examiner, not the EIC, right? So Sam is the EIC, and we're signed, we didn't sign in as George. We will in just a second. So you're signing in as an additional examiner to experience how the workflow differs between an examiner and an examiner in charge. I believe the biggest difference between the examiner in charge and another examiner is the fact that the information requests can't be sent to the company by anyone else other than the examiner in charge. All right, so let's go ahead and sign out as the examiner in charge and sign back in as George. And again, I'm going to stick to the 398 number. I shouldn't sign in as any other number because then I won't have access to it. Okay, so here it says, because George is also the account administrator, his homepage will appear different from the others. You will need to go to the Supervisor Activities main menu to find your essay. So let's go to the Supervisor Activities main menu and find our essay. Our essay was 739. So I click on that, and here I am. So what does it say? It says, note that core IRs review the available information requests, right? And we should know that when we mark the scope complete, that's when it automatically pulled the core information requests from the library and added it to our supervisory activity. So now, it says add a non-core information request, add and save a custom information request for any AFR, and then remove a few IRs. So let's do that. How do I do that? Again, there isn't much guidance here, is there? Review available information requests. Okay, so let's say that you felt completely lost here, right? So then again, let's refer to the article. Okay, so adding information requests. Go to your supervisor activity, we did that. Click on the information requests page, then click add information request. So let's try that. Information request. Okay, we see that there are 24, 28, and 1. I'm going to write that number down. So it's 24, 28 and 1. I'm writing it down because then we'll be able to more easily pay attention to the fact that it went up by 1. If you don't remember them, you don't recognize which one went up by 1. So here it says, add a non-core information request. So do you know what a non-core information request is? So a core information request is one that's automatically added by the system, right? Once you finish the scope, core information requests are added from the library into your supervisor activity. So these are information requests that your staff director, staff user added in your library. So some were marked as core, meaning that the system should automatically add them when the scope's marked complete, and some were marked non-core. So that's what we're asking. Add a non-core information request. So I'm going to go ahead and click Add Information Requests. And I'm going to go ahead and select Policies and Procedures. I remember that there was only one IR for Policies and Procedures. So I'm going to go ahead and add a non-core information request. So we know this is core. That's the symbol for core. This is the symbol for non-core. And we know that this hasn't been added because it has a plus sign next to it. This has been added. So a green check symbol it means it's already been added. So I'm going to go ahead and add this. And instead of clicking View Queue, I'm going to go ahead and also add and save a custom information request at the same time. That way it'll save me some time, right? So I just click here and I'll select the first one, Compliance and Internal Routines and Controls. So you would add the request here, tie it to this business activity if it makes sense, add a deadline, and then you would add it to the queue. So now you've got 2 added to the queue, right? The first one that was a non-core IR, and then this one that's a core, that's a custom IR. So now we can go ahead and view queue. We see these 2 here. If we want to make any changes, we can do so. I mean, if you want to remove it, you can do so. I'm going to go ahead and save information requests. And so that's why I wrote it down, right? So that it was a 24 first, now it's 25, and before it was 1, and now it's 2. So is that it? Is that everything? And remove or update an IR. So how do I remove IR? If I happen not to see this, then, of course, I can refer to my article, and there's adding custom IR and removing IR. So you click on Remove Information Request, and then you click on this X. So let's go ahead and do that. Remove Information Requests, and you can, click on any of the ones that you want to remove. And then you click Remove Information Requests, confirm. So that's it. That is everything for this exercise. So I'm going to go ahead and exit out. And I am going to go to the next module. Okay, so next we're going to go ahead and send information requests to the company. Okay, again, I'm going to expand it. I'm going to go ahead and click on the training resources. Make sure that I just have the article ready, whether I need it or not. I'm going to go ahead and launch it. Okay? And then I'm going to go to the Your Turn exercise. So it says navigate to your, so I'm signed in as the EIC already. Wait, am I? No. I'm signed in as George. So I have to sign out. Right, because the next one is sending information request, right? And you'll notice you don't have that button here. So we have to sign out, sign in as the SAM Examiner 398, and then 739. And let's see what it says. Navigate to your supervisory activity. Review information requests that are ready to be sent to the company. So information requests ready to send to the company. So I'm going to go ahead and click send information request. Then you arrive here and you'll notice that this already has a due date. We can bulk assign a due date. First, I'm going to go ahead and just deselect a few of them, just because I don't want to send them all. Maybe I'll deselect 5. And then I'm going to go ahead and give a bulk due date of July 16. So you'll notice that they all have July 16. Maybe I know that I want to change the due date for this one. So I can click on this, and you'll notice it doesn't scroll up, but it brings up another field here. So I can go ahead and give it a different due date. Okay, so you can individually click on each due date to just manually change it. All right, so I'm going to scroll down and validate it. And here, this is the comments to the company. Remember, I mean, you likely already spoke to the company. The company is probably expecting that you're going to send all these information requests to them. But this is going to be your first time through SES that you're going to communicate with the agent, with the company. So maybe you want to include, heavy details here, like, dear whomever you're speaking to, whoever your contact might be, right? Please find our list of IRs, whatever your custom language is, whatever your custom welcome letter is to the company, that you might consider putting that here. All right. Would you like to be notified of the company when the company sends a response? I'll go ahead and select yes. If you want to add any additional documents, you can do that here. And then I'm going to go ahead and send the information requests. All right, so notice how 5 were not sent and the remaining were sent. So here, now the ball's in the company's court, right? You just basically have to wait till they respond before you can start reviewing it. So it's been sent, and that's all we can do for this one. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out. And I'm going to launch the next module. The next one, I believe, is not a module. It's an article. And because you're not actually sending this to a real company, there's nobody on the other end to actually receive this and respond to it. What we've done is we've created a feature in the SES to automatically respond to your information requests. So we've created an article to show you how to automatically generate those responses. And so we've gotten several people who approach this point, and then they're like, I don't know how to review my responses because I don't know how to get to the responses. And that's by following the instructions here. So again, you could launch it, and this one you don't have to download. You could just leave it here. In fact, you just need to follow the first few steps. There are only a total of 5, right? So basically it says click the waffle icon, that's this icon right next to the profile picture, and then click Generate Company IR Responses. So let's do that. So that's the waffle icon, and Generate Company IR Responses. And so then it asks you to enter the ID number, the SA ID number. So ours was 739. I'm going to search for that. I also want to point out, notice how it's a tab. It's a new tab, okay? So if in case you don't remember your SA ID number, you could just quickly pop over to the previous tab. Oh, okay, 739, got it. And then enter it here, click search, and So it says, we found your essay. There are 47 IRs that have been sent to the company. Complete the section below to generate the responses. So this is an automated response generated by the SES training environment. You could leave that as is, or if you want to generate your own response, just feel free to type it in, and all those 47 IRs will get the same response from the company. Okay, so let's see what that looks like. Generate company IRs, that's it. Now I can just close this tab and I return back to my, my essay. But what I have to do is I have to refresh this. And you'll notice that the responses are right there. That's it. So that's this article. Okay, so we can close out of it. That was an easy win. And so I'm going to return to my modules, my full list of modules. And we are now at the last and final module. So again, I'm going to maximize it so I can see the menu to the left. I'm going to go over, when I arrive here, I'm going to go ahead and click on View. To view the article, I'm going to go ahead and download it in case I need to refer to it later. But there it is. Okay, so I launched one, and I'm launching the other, but I will explain to you why it's premature to launch this one. We should not perhaps have included it, but they both basically tell you the same thing. Basically, they're both telling you how to review IR responses. Did I launch this? So reviewing information request responses, that's the first one I launched. And the second one is conducting the exam. And conducting the exam occurs on the examination page. But you'll notice the examination, so this is conducting the exam, reviewing information request responses. They both are the same, reviewing information request responses and reviewing information request responses, but they occur in two different pages. All right, so if you notice in our supervisor activity, we've got the information request page, but the examination page isn't available yet. So that's why I'm saying that it's premature, and I think we will remove that from that module. So for the time being, all you need is this article. Okay, so it says go to the information request page, then it says click the hyperlinked number, all right, for the area for review that you want to review the information, which let's go to the system. Okay, so these are the responses received. So this is what you're going to review. This is what you can review, right? So let's go to the Your Turn exercise and see what it says. It says navigate to your supervisor activity record. We did that. Move the supervisor activity to in-flight. So first we have to move it to in-flight. Before we begin the review process, we should move it to in-flight. Okay, so move to in-flight right there. Why? Because what moving supervisor activity to in-flight milestone, to moving it to in-flight, allows everyone else in other agencies to know that you've begun the process of reviewing your information request responses, right? So it's telling them, okay, you know what, it's probably too late to join this exam. And then even internally, everyone in your agency will know, okay, you know, they've begun reviewing the responses to the information request. So that's the stage that they're at, right? So that's informing the outside world, the inside world, of how far you are in your workflow. So if you go to summary, we see we're still in the planning milestone. So let's go ahead and move it to in-flight. And so it says, when you move to the in-flight milestone, it adds core procedures based on the selected areas for review and business activities. and it allows participants to complete and add findings for their areas for review. So this occurs on the examination page, which I was saying that, it hasn't appeared here yet. And it'll appear here when you move to in-flight. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just click Information Requests again to refresh the whole page. And that should bring in the examination page. All right. And you might be wondering, what? Loan request? What's this? So again, as I mentioned earlier, any future releases that we have planned, first they get released to the training environment and some other environments. So this is to allow us to develop training on it. So for the time being, let's ignore it. Let's act like it's not there, because in production it's not there. But just know that it's coming and there will be awesome training on it. Okay? For now, let me remind myself of what we're supposed to be doing. So mark at least one information request as quick look complete. Send at least one response back to the company. And then we're going to cancel at least one information request. And there's something about this last piece that there's some information missing. So when I get to that, I'll explain what's missing. So first, let's go ahead and mark one IR as quick look complete. So in order to get to the IRs, you have to click one of these numbers. So if I click 17, I'm going to get to the 17 IRs for compliance and internal routines and controls. But I'm going to go ahead and click 2. That way it's easy for our eyes. 2 IRs for policies and procedures. Okay, so this is that 1 non-core and 1 core. So I'm here. And so what do I need to do? I'm going to mark 1 as quick look complete. So we have to drill down all the way into one of these IRs. So to drill down, we have to click on the IR ID. And that's, again, in the article, which is the most useful. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click on the IR ID, and I can mark it quick look complete. And of course, within your agency, you decide what does quick look complete mean to you. For my agency, I could say, okay, I've just had a quick look at it. That just lets the agency know that, okay, Shireen looked at it, but it's not complete. I still have to go in, or maybe it means it's thoroughly looked at. You guys can, decide that. Let me not go too much into detail on that. So that's it. That's marked quick look complete. Okay. Then it says, send 1 response back to the company. All right, so let me go ahead and go back to the information request page. And let's go ahead and send the other one back to the company. So this one's marked quick look complete. Let me send this back to the company. Okay, due date, reason for why. That's what you would put there, and then send it back to the company. So then when we go back to the IR page, you see that one of them has been sent back to the company. And canceling an IR, so the information that's missing from that last sentence here is you can only cancel an IR that you've sent to the company, but the company hasn't yet responded to it. So these are 5 that have not been sent to the company, right? So I'm going to go ahead and send information requests. I'm just going to send one of the 5. I'm going to go ahead and just select that one and make that the deadline, validate it, send information request. So it's been sent. Let's say then I decide, wait, no, never mind. I want to recall it. So you click there, and you can cancel the information request. Again, you can only do this if you've sent it to the company, but the company hasn't responded to it. Okay, if they've responded to it, then you could deal with the cancellation in another way. You can communicate however you want to, but for those IRs that haven't been responded to, you can you have the option to cancel it. And if you go to information request details, that's where you can see the cancellation. There it is. Okay. All right. So that's everything there, reviewing our responses. So I can close out of that. Once I do the knowledge check, that's what's going to mark it complete. So be sure to do it all in order to get your certificate of completion. But that is where we're going to stop, I believe. Let's just go back really quick. Yes, that is where we stop. So next time we're going to go ahead and work on this one. This one alone is a very heavy topic. This is where, bulk of the work is happening, the exam work. So that's likely the only one we're going to go through next time. Maybe scheduling the exit meeting, that's not a heavy lift. All right, well, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this. We hope that it was helpful. Thank you.